Picture this. You're holding onto something. Maybe it's a grudge that's been eating at you for years, a mistake you can't stop replaying in your mind, or a relationship that's long since turned toxic. You know you need to let go, but it feels impossible, like trying to release a rope that's tied too tightly around your hands. Sound familiar? We've all been there. The weight of holding on can feel unbearable, but what if I told you there's a way to loosen that grip, to find freedom from the things that no longer serve you? That's where Stoicism comes in. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy practiced by some of history's greatest minds, offers more than just wisdom. It provides practical tools to help us let go of what we can't control and focus on what truly matters. It's not about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. It's about understanding what's within your power and releasing the rest, and that's exactly what we're diving into today. In this video, we'll explore 25 Stoic techniques grouped into 28 sections designed to help you master the art of detachment and emotional freedom. Whether you're struggling to let go of the past, worrying about the future, or feeling overwhelmed by emotions, these timeless practices will guide you toward a calmer, more centered life. So, if you're ready to stop carrying the weight of what you can't change and start living with clarity and purpose, let's begin. Now, let's dive into the first Stoic technique, one that serves as the foundation for everything that follows, the dichotomy of control. At its core, this principle is about understanding the difference between what we can control and what we cannot. It's a simple yet profound idea that can transform how we approach life's challenges. Think about it this way: so much of what we worry about, what others think of us, whether we'll get that promotion or even the weather, is entirely outside our control. And yet, we often spend an enormous amount of mental energy trying to change or influence these things. The Stoics teach us that this is a recipe for frustration and anxiety. Instead, they encourage us to focus solely on what's within our power, our thoughts, our actions, and our responses. For example, imagine you're about to give a presentation at work. You can't control how your colleagues will react or whether they'll agree with your ideas, but you can control how well you prepare, how clearly you communicate, and how you handle any feedback, positive or negative. By shifting your focus to what's within your control, you let go of the stress of trying to manage the uncontrollable. Another common scenario is dealing with other people's opinions. It's natural to want to be liked or respected, but the truth is you can't control how others perceive you. What you can control is how you treat them, how you carry yourself, and whether you act with integrity. When you stop worrying about what others think and focus on being the best version of yourself, you free yourself from a heavy burden. The dichotomy of control isn't about ignoring the world around us or becoming indifferent. It's about recognizing where our power truly lies and directing our energy there. By doing so, we let go of unnecessary worries and create space for clarity, peace, and purpose. This principle is just the beginning, but it's a powerful one. As we move forward, you'll see how this idea connects to the other techniques we'll explore, each building on the foundation of understanding what's truly within our control. Now, let's turn our attention to the second Stoic technique, one that might seem a bit unconventional at first but holds incredible power: Memento Mori, or remember death. This practice isn't about dwelling on fear or sadness, but rather about using the awareness of our mortality as a tool to live more fully and intentionally. The Stoics believed that reflecting on the inevitability of death helps us let go of the small, insignificant worries that often consume our thoughts. When we remember that our time is limited, we're more likely to focus on what truly matters: our relationships, our values, and the legacy we want to leave behind. Take Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers and a Roman emperor. Despite his immense power and responsibilities, he regularly reminded himself of his own mortality. In his personal writings, known as meditations, he often reflected on the fleeting nature of life. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This wasn't a morbid thought for him, it was a call to action. By keeping death in mind, he stayed grounded, focused on his duties, and avoided getting caught up in trivial distractions. Another example comes from Seneca, who advised his students to live each day as if it were their last. He believed that this mindset would help them prioritize what was truly important and let go of petty concerns. Imagine how differently we might approach our days if we truly embraced this perspective. Would we waste time arguing over minor disagreements? Would we procrastinate on pursuing our dreams? Probably not. Memento Mori isn't about living in fear of the end, but about using the awareness of life's impermanence to live with greater purpose and clarity. It's a reminder to stop sweating the small stuff and to invest our energy in what truly enriches our lives and the lives of those around us. As we move forward, you'll see how this practice ties into the broader Stoic philosophy, helping us cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude, resilience, and focus. It's a powerful tool for letting go of what doesn't matter and embracing what does. Now, let's explore the third Stoic technique, one that might initially feel counterintuitive but is incredibly transformative: negative visualization. This practice involves deliberately imagining worst-case scenarios, not to dwell on fear or pessimism, but to build mental resilience and cultivate gratitude for what we already have. At its core, negative visualization is about preparing ourselves for life's uncertainties. By envisioning potential challenges or losses, we reduce the shock and emotional turmoil that often accompany difficult situations. Think of it as a mental rehearsal, a way to train our minds to handle adversity with calm and clarity. For example, imagine losing your job or experiencing a major setback in a project. While this might seem unsettling, reflecting on how you would respond helps you develop a plan and strengthens your ability to adapt. The Stoics believe that this practice also deepens our appreciation for the present moment. When we imagine life without the people, possessions, or opportunities we often take for granted, we're reminded of their value. Picture for a moment what it would be like to lose a cherished relationship or a source of comfort in your life. This exercise isn't meant to create anxiety, but to help us recognize the fragility of what we hold dear and to savor it more fully while we have it. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, encouraged his students to regularly reflect on the impermanence of things. He advised them to remind themselves, "I will lose this someday," whether it was a loved one, a prized possession, or even their own health. By doing so, they could detach from the fear of loss and focus on appreciating what they had in the here and now. Negative visualization also helps us let go of unrealistic expectations. When we accept that life is unpredictable and that setbacks are inevitable, we stop clinging to the idea of perfection. Instead, we learn to approach challenges with a sense of readiness and gratitude. For instance, if you're preparing for a big presentation, imagining what could go wrong, like technical issues or a tough audience, helps you prepare better and reduces anxiety about the outcome. This technique isn't about pessimism, it's about empowerment. By facing our fears head-on, we strip them of their power over us. We become less attached to specific outcomes and more focused on our ability to navigate whatever comes our way. It's a practice that fosters resilience, gratitude, and a deeper sense of inner peace. As we continue, you'll see how negative visualization connects to other Stoic practices, helping us build a mindset that's both grounded and adaptable. It's a powerful tool for letting go of fear, attachment, and the need for control, allowing us to live more fully in the present moment. Now, let's turn our attention to the fourth Stoic technique, one that invites us to embrace life in its entirety: Amor Fati, or love your fate. This powerful concept encourages us to accept everything that happens to us, whether it's joyful or painful, as an essential part of our journey. Instead of resisting or resenting life's challenges, Amor Fati teaches us to see them as opportunities for growth and transformation. At its heart, Amor Fati is about shifting our perspective. It's not about passively enduring hardship, but actively choosing to find meaning in every experience. Think of it as saying yes to life, even when it feels difficult or unfair. For example, imagine facing a sudden career change or a personal setback. While it might be tempting to feel defeated, Amor Fati invites us to ask, what can I learn from this? How can this experience shape me into a stronger, wiser person? The Stoics believed that everything happens for a reason, even if we can't immediately see it. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, often reminded himself to love what happens because it was part of the natural order of the universe. He saw challenges not as obstacles but as stepping stones to becoming more resilient and virtuous. This practice is particularly powerful when it comes to letting go of resistance. When we stop fighting against what we can't control, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. Consider a situation where you're stuck in traffic or dealing with an unexpected delay. Instead of feeling frustrated, Amor Fati encourages you to accept the moment as it is. You might even find a silver lining, like using the extra time to reflect or listen to something inspiring. Amor Fati also helps us find peace in the face of adversity. By embracing both the highs and lows of life, we cultivate a sense of inner stability. For instance, if you experience a failure or rejection, instead of dwelling on what went wrong, you can focus on how it's shaping your character or redirecting your path towards something better. This mindset doesn't erase pain, but it helps us move through it with grace and purpose. To practice Amor Fati, start by reframing your thoughts. When something challenging happens, pause and remind yourself, this is happening for me, not to me. Look for the lessons or opportunities hidden within the experience. Over time, this shift in perspective can transform how you approach life, helping you let go of resistance and embrace each moment with gratitude and courage. As we move forward, you'll see how Amor Fati connects to other Stoic practices, creating a mindset that's not only resilient but also deeply aligned with the flow of life. It's a reminder that every experience, no matter how difficult, has the potential to enrich our lives if we choose to see it that way. Now, let's shift our focus to the fifth Stoic technique, one that might seem counterintuitive at first but holds immense power: Premeditatio Malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This practice involves mentally preparing for potential challenges or setbacks before they happen. At first glance, it might sound pessimistic, but in reality, it's a tool for building resilience and reducing anxiety. By envisioning what could go wrong, we arm ourselves with the clarity and strength to face life's uncertainties head-on. The idea behind Premeditatio Malorum is simple yet profound. Instead of avoiding thoughts of failure or hardship, the Stoics encourage us to confront them directly. Why? Because when we imagine the worst-case scenarios, we often realize that they're not as catastrophic as we fear. This mental rehearsal helps us detach from outcomes and focus on what we can control our response. For example, if you're worried about an important presentation at work, take a moment to visualize what might go wrong. Maybe you stumble over your words or the audience seems disengaged. Now ask yourself, how would I handle that? What steps could I take to recover? By doing this, you're not only preparing for the possibility, but also reducing the fear of the unknown. This technique is especially useful in relationships. Imagine you're about to have a difficult conversation with a loved one. Instead of dreading the interaction, use Premeditatio Malorum to think through the potential outcomes. What if the conversation doesn't go as planned? What if emotions run high? By anticipating these possibilities, you can approach the situation with calmness and clarity, ready to navigate it with empathy and understanding. The Stoics believed that by regularly practicing this exercise, we could cultivate a sense of inner peace. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often reminded himself that what you fear is not as bad as you imagine. He saw Premeditatio Malorum as a way to strip away the power of fear and replace it with preparedness. When we accept that challenges are inevitable, we stop being caught off guard and start responding with intention. To apply this technique in your daily life, start small. Begin by identifying a situation that's causing you anxiety or uncertainty. Take a few moments to visualize the worst-case scenario, but don't stop there. Ask yourself, what would I do if this happened? How would I move forward? This process not only reduces fear, but also helps you develop practical strategies for handling adversity. Over time, you'll find that you're less attached to specific outcomes and more focused on your ability to adapt and grow. Premeditatio Malorum isn't about dwelling on negativity, it's about building mental strength. By preparing for life's challenges, we free ourselves from the grip of anxiety and open the door to greater resilience. As we continue exploring these Stoic techniques, you'll see how this practice complements others, creating a mindset that's both grounded and adaptable. It's a reminder that while we can't control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. Now, let's turn our attention to the sixth Stoic technique, one that invites us to step back and see the bigger picture, the view from above. This powerful exercise encourages us to imagine ourselves from a cosmic perspective, as if we were looking down at our lives from a great height. It's a practice designed to help us gain clarity, let go of ego-driven concerns, and reconnect with what truly matters. The view from above is about zooming out, way out. Picture yourself floating above the Earth, looking down at the vastness of the planet. From this vantage point, your daily struggles, conflicts, and worries might seem small, even insignificant. This isn't meant to diminish your experiences, but to help you see them in context. When we're caught up in the heat of the moment, it's easy to lose perspective. But by stepping back, we can detach from our emotions and approach situations with greater objectivity. For example, imagine you're in the middle of a heated argument with a colleague. Emotions are running high, and it feels like the most important thing in the world. Now, try applying the view from above. Picture the scene from a distance: your office, your city, even the Earth itself. From this perspective, the argument might feel less monumental. It doesn't mean the issue isn't important, but it allows you to see it as one small part of a much larger picture. This shift in perspective can help you respond with calmness and clarity, rather than being driven by ego or emotion. The Stoics believed that this exercise could help us let go of petty concerns and focus on what's truly meaningful. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, often used this practice to remind himself of the fleeting nature of human life. He would reflect on the vastness of time and space, recognizing that his own struggles were just a tiny blip in the grand scheme of things. This didn't lead him to despair, but to a profound sense of peace and purpose. To incorporate the view from above into your own life, start by taking a moment to pause when you feel overwhelmed or caught up in a situation. Close your eyes and imagine yourself rising above the scene, looking down as if from a great height. Notice how small everything seems from this perspective. Ask yourself, does this really matter in the long run? How will I feel about this a year from now? This simple exercise can help you detach from ego-driven concerns and approach challenges with a clearer, more balanced mindset. The view from above isn't about dismissing your feelings or ignoring your problems. It's about gaining the clarity you need to address them effectively. By regularly practicing this technique, you'll find it easier to let go of the small stuff and focus on what truly matters. It's a reminder that while our daily struggles are real, they're also part of a much larger, more beautiful tapestry. As we continue exploring these Stoic techniques, you'll see how the view from above complements practices like Premeditatio Malorum and the Dichotomy of Control. Together, they create a toolkit for navigating life's challenges with wisdom, resilience, and grace. Next, we'll dive into another powerful Stoic practice, journaling for reflection, a tool for processing emotions and gaining deeper self-awareness. Now, let's shift our focus to a practice that has been a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy for centuries: journaling for reflection. This technique is more than just writing down your thoughts. It's a powerful tool for processing emotions, gaining clarity, and letting go of negativity. By putting pen to paper, you create a space to untangle your mind, reflect on your experiences, and cultivate a deeper understanding of yourself. Journaling has long been a favorite practice of Stoic philosophers. Marcus Aurelius, for example, kept a personal journal known as Meditations, where he reflected on his thoughts, struggles, and lessons learned. His writings weren't just a record of his day. They were a way to examine his actions, question his assumptions, and align himself with Stoic principles. This practice allowed him to process his emotions, let go of resentment, and focus on what truly mattered. So, how can you use journaling to let go of negativity and gain emotional clarity? Start by setting aside a few minutes each day to write. It doesn't have to be long or elaborate, just a few sentences can make a difference. Begin by reflecting on your day. What challenges did you face? How did you respond? Were there moments where you felt anger, frustration, or disappointment? Writing about these experiences helps you process them rather than letting them fester in your mind. Here are a few Stoic-inspired prompts to guide your journaling practice. First, ask yourself, what did I learn today? This question encourages you to find meaning in your experiences, even the difficult ones. Second, reflect on your reactions. Did I act in alignment with my values, or did I let my emotions take control? This helps you identify areas for growth and improvement. Finally, consider, what can I let go of? This could be a grudge, a worry, or an unrealistic expectation. Acknowledging it on paper is the first step toward releasing it. Journaling also helps you track your progress over time. As you look back on your entries, you'll notice patterns in your thoughts and behaviors. You might see how certain triggers lead to negative emotions, or how practicing Stoic techniques has helped you respond more calmly to challenges. This self-awareness is invaluable for personal growth and emotional resilience. One of the most powerful aspects of journaling is its ability to help you detach from your emotions. When you write about a difficult situation, you're no longer caught up in the heat of the moment. Instead, you're observing it from a distance, much like the view from above. This detachment allows you to see things more clearly and respond with greater wisdom. Incorporating journaling into your daily routine doesn't require a lot of time or effort, but the benefits can be profound. It's a simple yet effective way to process your emotions, let go of negativity, and cultivate a more mindful, intentional life. As we continue exploring these Stoic techniques, you'll see how journaling complements practices like the view from above and the dichotomy of control, creating a holistic approach to emotional freedom and resilience. Next, we'll explore another transformative Stoic practice, practicing gratitude, a technique that shifts our focus from what we lack to what we already have, helping us let go of envy and dissatisfaction. Now, let's turn our attention to a practice that has the power to transform how we see the world, practicing gratitude. This Stoic technique is about shifting our focus from what we lack to what we already have, helping us let go of envy, dissatisfaction, and the endless chase for more. Gratitude isn't just a feel-good exercise, it's a profound way to reframe our perspective and find contentment in the present moment. The Stoics believed that much of our suffering comes from constantly wanting what we don't have. Whether it's material possessions, status, or even the approval of others, this endless desire keeps us trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction. Gratitude, on the other hand, helps us break free from this cycle by reminding us of the abundance already present in our lives. It's not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing the good, even in the midst of difficulty. One of the most effective ways to practice gratitude is through daily reflection. Take a few moments each day to write down 3 things you're grateful for. These don't have to be grand or extraordinary. They can be as simple as a warm cup of coffee, a kind word from a friend, or the beauty of a sunset. The key is to focus on the small, often overlooked blessings that fill your life. This practice trains your mind to notice and appreciate the good rather than dwelling on what's missing. Another Stoic-inspired approach is to reflect on the impermanence of things. The Stoics often reminded themselves that nothing lasts forever, not our possessions, our relationships, or even our own lives. By contemplating this truth, we can develop a deeper appreciation for what we have right now. For example, imagine losing something you take for granted, like your health or a loved one. How would you feel? This exercise isn't meant to be morbid. It's a way to awaken gratitude for the things we might otherwise overlook. You can also practice gratitude by expressing it to others. Take a moment to thank someone who has made a difference in your life, whether it's a family member, a colleague, or even a stranger. This not only strengthens your relationships but also reinforces your own sense of appreciation. The Stoics believed that gratitude is a virtue that connects us to others and reminds us of our shared humanity. Finally, consider incorporating gratitude into your morning or evening routine. Start your day by listing 3 things you're grateful for, or end your day by reflecting on what went well. These small rituals can have a big impact over time, helping you cultivate a mindset of abundance and contentment. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring life's challenges or pretending everything is perfect. Instead, it's about finding balance, acknowledging the difficulties while also recognizing the good. This shift in perspective can help you let go of envy, reduce dissatisfaction, and find peace in the present moment. As we continue exploring these Stoic techniques, you'll see how gratitude complements practices like journaling and the dichotomy of control, creating a holistic approach to emotional freedom and resilience. Next, we'll dive into another powerful Stoic practice, detaching from outcomes, a mindset that helps us focus on effort rather than results. Now, let's shift our focus to a mindset that can liberate us from the weight of expectations, detaching from outcomes. This Stoic practice teaches us to focus on our efforts rather than the results, allowing us to let go of the fear of failure and the obsession with success. It's about embracing the process and finding fulfillment in the act of doing, rather than being tied to the outcome. The Stoics understood that much of our anxiety and frustration comes from placing too much importance on things outside our control, like how others perceive us or whether we achieve a specific goal. By detaching from outcomes, we free ourselves from this emotional roller coaster and instead focus on what we can control: our actions, our intentions, and our effort. Take the example of athletes who often face immense pressure to win. Many top performers, like basketball legend Michael Jordan, have spoken about the importance of focusing on the game itself rather than the scoreboard. Jordan famously said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." His ability to detach from the outcome, whether he won or lost, allowed him to stay resilient and keep improving even in the face of failure. Entrepreneurs also embody this Stoic mindset. Consider the story of Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She faced countless rejections when pitching her idea for shapewear, but instead of being discouraged by the no's, she focused on what she could control, refining her product and persevering. Her detachment from immediate outcomes, whether investors said yes or no, allowed her to stay committed to her vision, eventually building a billion-dollar company. Detaching from outcomes doesn't mean we stop caring about results altogether. It simply means we shift our focus to the effort we put in and the lessons we learn along the way. This mindset helps us let go of the paralyzing fear of failure and the fleeting highs of success, allowing us to approach challenges with a sense of calm and purpose. One practical way to practice this is by setting intentions rather than rigid goals. Instead of saying, "I must get a promotion," focus on what you can do to grow in your role, like improving your skills or building stronger relationships. This shift in perspective helps you stay grounded in the present moment rather than being consumed by future outcomes. Another approach is to reflect on the Stoic idea that external results are indifferent. They don't define your worth or character. What matters is how you show up, how you handle setbacks, and how you grow through the process. By internalizing this truth, you can let go of the need for validation and instead find satisfaction in your own effort and integrity. Detaching from outcomes is a powerful way to build resilience and emotional freedom. It allows us to navigate life's uncertainties with grace, knowing that our value lies not in what we achieve, but in how we approach the journey. As we move forward, we'll explore another Stoic technique that complements this mindset: embracing impermanence, a practice that helps us let go of clinging and live more freely. Now, let's turn our attention to a profound Stoic principle that can transform how we experience life: embracing impermanence. This practice invites us to recognize that everything in life, our emotions, relationships, and even material possessions, is temporary. By understanding this truth, we can let go of clinging and live with greater freedom and peace. The Stoics believed that much of our suffering comes from resisting the natural flow of life. We hold on tightly to things, people, and experiences, fearing their loss. But the reality is that nothing lasts forever. Emotions fade, relationships evolve, and material possessions come and go. When we accept this impermanence, we stop fighting against the inevitable and instead learn to appreciate the present moment. Think about a beautiful sunset. Its brilliance is fleeting, lasting only a few minutes before the sky changes. If we try to hold on to it, we'll only feel frustration. But if we embrace its temporary nature, we can fully enjoy its beauty while it lasts. The same principle applies to life. When we stop clinging to what we can't keep, we open ourselves to deeper gratitude and joy. This awareness of impermanence also helps us navigate difficult emotions. When we feel anger, sadness, or anxiety, we often act as if these feelings will last forever. But the Stoics remind us that emotions, like everything else, are temporary. They rise and fall like waves. By observing them without attachment, we can let them pass without being overwhelmed. Relationships, too, are shaped by impermanence. People come into our lives and sometimes they leave. Instead of fearing this natural ebb and flow, we can cherish the time we have with others, knowing that every moment is a gift. This mindset helps us let go of possessiveness and control, allowing relationships to flourish in their own way. Material possessions are another area where impermanence plays a role. We often tie our happiness to things: a new car, a bigger house, the latest gadget. But these things don't last. They break, wear out, or lose their appeal. When we recognize their temporary nature, we can enjoy them without becoming attached, freeing ourselves from the endless cycle of desire and disappointment. One practical way to embrace impermanence is through daily reflection. Take a moment each day to remind yourself that everything around you is transient. This simple practice can help you cultivate a sense of detachment and appreciation for the present. Another approach is to practice gratitude for what you have right now. Instead of focusing on what might change or disappear, focus on the value it brings to your life in this moment. This shift in perspective helps you let go of fear and live with greater openness and joy. Embracing impermanence doesn't mean we stop caring or stop striving. It means we approach life with a lighter heart, knowing that change is the only constant. This mindset allows us to let go of clinging, reduce our suffering, and live more freely. As we move forward, we'll explore another Stoic technique that builds on this foundation: the discipline of desire, a practice that helps us align our wants with what is truly within our control. Now, let's shift our focus to a powerful Stoic practice that builds on the foundation of impermanence: the discipline of desire. This technique invites us to examine what we truly want in life and align our desires with what is virtuous and within our control. By doing so, we can let go of unhealthy cravings and find lasting contentment. The Stoics believed that many of our struggles stem from misplaced desires. We often chase after things that are outside our control: wealth, fame, approval from others, and tie our happiness to their attainment. But when these desires go unfulfilled, we feel frustration, disappointment, and even despair. The discipline of desire teaches us to redirect our focus inward toward what we can control: our thoughts, actions, and values. Imagine you're standing in front of a vending machine craving a snack. You insert your money, press the button, and wait. But what if the machine doesn't work? You might feel annoyed or even angry. Now, think about how often we treat life like a vending machine, expecting it to deliver exactly what we want. The discipline of desire reminds us that life doesn't always work that way. Instead of demanding specific outcomes, we can focus on making virtuous choices and accepting whatever comes our way. This practice isn't about suppressing our desires or living a life of deprivation. It's about cultivating desires that align with our true values and contribute to our growth. For example, instead of craving external validation, we can desire to act with integrity and kindness. Instead of longing for material wealth, we can desire to live simply and appreciate what we have. When our desires are rooted in virtue, they become sources of strength rather than sources of suffering. One practical way to apply the discipline of desire is to regularly reflect on your wants. Ask yourself, is this desire within my control? Does it align with my values? If the answer is no, consider letting it go. This doesn't mean you stop striving or dreaming. It means you focus your energy on what truly matters and let go of what doesn't serve you. Another approach is to practice gratitude for what you already have. Often, our desires arise from a sense of lack or dissatisfaction. By appreciating the present moment and the resources at your disposal, you can reduce the urge to chase after more. This shift in perspective helps you find contentment in the here and now, rather than constantly seeking fulfillment in the future. The discipline of desire also helps us let go of unhealthy cravings, whether they're for material possessions, unhealthy relationships, or even harmful habits. When we recognize that these cravings don't align with our values or contribute to our well-being, we can choose to release them. This doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent practice, we can gradually rewire our desires and find greater peace. By aligning our desires with what is virtuous and within our control, we free ourselves from the endless cycle of wanting and disappointment. We learn to find joy in the process of living rather than in the outcomes we can't guarantee. This mindset allows us to let go of unhealthy attachments and embrace a life of purpose and contentment. As we continue, we'll explore another Stoic practice that complements this discipline: the discipline of action, which focuses on acting with integrity and purpose regardless of external rewards. Now, let's turn our attention to the next Stoic practice that builds on the foundation of desire: the discipline of action. This technique challenges us to act with integrity and purpose, focusing on the quality of our actions rather than the outcomes they might bring. By doing so, we can let go of selfish motives and align our behavior with what is virtuous and meaningful. The Stoics believed that true fulfillment comes not from external rewards but from the way we choose to act in the world. When we act with integrity, we free ourselves from the need for approval, recognition, or material gain. Instead, we find satisfaction in knowing that our actions reflect our values and contribute to the greater good. Think about a time when you helped someone without expecting anything in return. Maybe you held the door for a stranger, offered a kind word to a friend, or volunteered your time for a cause you care about. These small, virtuous actions may seem insignificant, but they have a profound impact on both the world and your own sense of purpose. The discipline of action encourages us to make these choices consistently, not because they benefit us directly, but because they are the right thing to do. One practical way to apply this discipline is to start your day with a simple intention: to act with kindness and integrity in every interaction. This could mean listening attentively when someone speaks, offering help without being asked, or standing up for what you believe in, even when it's uncomfortable. These actions may not always lead to immediate rewards, but they strengthen your character and help you let go of selfish motives. Another example is to practice honesty, even when it's difficult. Imagine you're at work and a colleague takes credit for your idea. It's tempting to confront them or seek recognition from others, but the discipline of action invites you to focus on what you can control, your own behavior. Instead of reacting out of anger or pride, you can choose to act with grace and continue contributing your best work. Over time, this approach builds trust and respect, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it through your actions. The discipline of action also teaches us to let go of the need for perfection. Sometimes we hesitate to act because we're afraid of making mistakes or being judged. But the Stoics remind us that it's better to act imperfectly than to not act at all. Every small step you take toward virtue, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction. By focusing on the quality of our actions rather than the results, we cultivate a sense of inner freedom. We no longer feel controlled by external rewards or the opinions of others. Instead, we find joy in the process of living with purpose and integrity. This mindset allows us to let go of selfish motives and embrace a life of meaning and contribution. As we move forward, we'll explore another Stoic practice that deepens this understanding, the discipline of assent, which invites us to question our judgments and assumptions, helping us let go of irrational beliefs and emotional reactions. Now, let's shift our focus to another powerful Stoic practice, the discipline of assent. This technique invites us to pause and examine the judgments and assumptions we make about the world around us. Often, our emotional reactions stem not from the events themselves, but from the meaning we attach to them. By questioning these automatic thoughts, we can let go of irrational beliefs and respond to life with greater clarity and calm. The Stoics believed that our minds are like filters, constantly interpreting events and assigning value to them. For example, if someone criticizes you, your immediate reaction might be to feel hurt or defensive. But the discipline of assent asks, is this criticism true? Does it define who you are, or is it simply one person's opinion? By stepping back and examining these questions, you can choose whether to accept or reject the judgment, rather than letting it control your emotions. This practice is especially helpful in moments of conflict or stress. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. Your first thought might be, "This is terrible. Everything is going wrong," but the discipline of assent encourages you to challenge that assumption. Is the traffic really a catastrophe, or is it just an inconvenience? By reframing the situation, you can let go of frustration and focus on what you can control, like using the time to prepare mentally or listen to something uplifting. One practical way to apply this discipline is to create a habit of pausing before reacting. When something triggers an emotional response, take a moment to ask yourself, what am I assuming about this situation? Is this assumption true, or is it just my interpretation? This simple act of reflection can help you detach from irrational beliefs and respond with intention rather than impulse. Another example is to practice questioning societal norms or expectations. For instance, many people feel pressure to achieve certain milestones by a specific age, like getting married or reaching a particular career level. But the discipline of assent invites you to ask, are these expectations truly meaningful to me, or am I just following them because others do? By examining these beliefs, you can let go of unnecessary pressure and align your life with what truly matters to you. The discipline of assent also helps us let go of perfectionism. Often, we judge ourselves harshly for mistakes or shortcomings, believing that we must always be flawless. But the Stoics remind us that perfection is an illusion. Instead of clinging to unrealistic standards, we can choose to accept ourselves as we are, flaws and all, and focus on growth rather than judgment. By practicing the discipline of assent, we cultivate a mindset of curiosity and openness. We learn to question our automatic thoughts, let go of irrational beliefs, and respond to life with greater wisdom and equanimity. This practice not only frees us from emotional turbulence, but also deepens our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. As we continue, we'll explore another Stoic technique that builds on this foundation, practicing equanimity, which teaches us how to maintain calm and balance even in the face of adversity. Now, let's turn our attention to a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, practicing equanimity. This technique is all about cultivating a steady, balanced mind, even when life throws its toughest challenges your way. Equanimity doesn't mean suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. Instead, it's about developing the inner strength to remain calm and composed no matter what happens around you. The Stoics believed that adversity is an inevitable part of life, but how we respond to it is entirely within our control. Think of equanimity as an anchor in a storm. When the waves of stress, anger, or fear rise, this practice helps you stay grounded, allowing you to navigate challenges with clarity and purpose. One practical way to build equanimity is through deep breathing. When you feel overwhelmed, take a moment to focus on your breath. Inhale slowly, counting to 4, hold for a moment, and then exhale for another count of 4. This simple exercise activates your body's relaxation response, helping you let go of tension and regain your composure. Another powerful tool is mindfulness. This involves paying attention to the present moment without judgment. For example, if you're feeling anxious about an upcoming event, instead of getting caught up in what-if scenarios, bring your focus back to what's happening right now. Notice the sensations in your body, the sounds around you, or the rhythm of your breath. By anchoring yourself in the present, you can let go of the emotional turbulence that comes from worrying about the future or dwelling on the past. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of perspective. When faced with a difficult situation, ask yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, or a year? Often, we magnify problems in our minds, but stepping back and viewing them from a broader perspective can help us see them for what they truly are: temporary and manageable. Equanimity also involves accepting what you cannot change. Imagine you're caught in a sudden rainstorm without an umbrella. You can either get upset about being wet or accept the situation and focus on finding shelter. By letting go of resistance, you free yourself from unnecessary frustration and open the door to creative solutions. Finally, practicing gratitude can strengthen your sense of equanimity. When life feels chaotic, take a moment to reflect on the things you're grateful for, no matter how small. This shift in focus can help you maintain a sense of balance and remind you that even in tough times, there's still good to be found. By integrating these practices into your daily life, you can develop the resilience to face adversity with calm and clarity. Equanimity isn't about avoiding challenges, it's about meeting them with a steady heart and a clear mind. As we move forward, we'll explore another Stoic technique that builds on this foundation: letting go of the past, which teaches us how to release the weight of old regrets and focus on the present moment. Now, let's shift our focus to a practice that can profoundly transform how we relate to our past: letting go of the past. Stoicism teaches us that clinging to past mistakes or regrets only weighs us down, preventing us from fully embracing the present moment. The past, after all, is unchangeable. What's done is done. But what we can change is how we choose to carry it forward. One powerful Stoic exercise for releasing the past is writing a letter of forgiveness. This isn't about excusing harmful actions or pretending everything is fine. Instead, it's about freeing yourself from the emotional burden of resentment or guilt. Start by addressing the letter to yourself, someone else, or even a situation that caused you pain. Acknowledge what happened, express how it affected you, and then consciously decide to let it go. You don't even have to send the letter. The act of writing it is what matters. It's a way to process your emotions and reclaim your peace. another effective technique is reframing past events. Often, we view our mistakes or failures through a lens of shame or regret. But what if you could see them as opportunities for growth? For example, instead of thinking, "I failed at that job," try reframing it as, "That experience taught me resilience and helped me discover what I truly value in my career." By shifting your perspective, you can transform past pain into wisdom and strength. The Stoics also remind us to focus on what's within our control. While we can't change what happened yesterday, we can choose how we respond today. Ask yourself, what lessons can I take from this experience? How can I use those lessons to live more intentionally moving forward? This mindset helps you release the weight of the past and focus on building a better future. Finally, consider practicing mindfulness to anchor yourself in the present. When you catch yourself dwelling on past regrets, gently bring your attention back to the here and now. Notice the sensations in your body, the sounds around you, or the task at hand. By staying present, you can break free from the cycle of rumination and create space for new possibilities. Letting go of the past isn't about forgetting or denying what happened. It's about choosing not to let it define you. By practicing forgiveness, reframing, and mindfulness, you can release old burdens and step into the present with clarity and purpose. As we move forward, we'll explore another essential Stoic practice, letting go of the future, which helps us release the anxiety of uncertainty and focus on what we can control in the here and now. Now, let's turn our attention to a practice that can help us navigate the uncertainty of what lies ahead, letting go of the future. While it's natural to think about what's coming next, excessive worry about the future can pull us away from the present moment, leaving us anxious and distracted. The Stoics remind us that the future is ultimately beyond our control. What we can control is how we prepare for it and how we choose to respond when it arrives. One powerful Stoic practice is planning without attachment. This means setting goals and making plans, but doing so with the understanding that outcomes are never guaranteed. For example, you might prepare for a job interview by researching the company and practicing your answers, but you don't tie your self-worth to whether or not you get the job. Instead, you focus on doing your best and trusting that whatever happens, you'll handle it with grace and resilience. This mindset helps you stay grounded in the present while still moving forward with intention. Another key Stoic idea is trusting in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. The future is full of unknowns, but you've already faced challenges before and come out stronger. The Stoics encourage us to reflect on past experiences where we've overcome adversity. This reflection builds confidence in our capacity to adapt and thrive, no matter what the future holds. It's not about being fearless, it's about knowing that you have the tools and strength to face whatever life throws at you. A practical exercise to help you let go of future worries is to write down your fears and then challenge them. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? How likely is it? And if it did happen, how would I respond? Often, you'll find that your fears are exaggerated, and even if the worst-case scenario occurs, you're more capable of handling it than you think. This exercise helps you confront uncertainty with clarity and calm. Finally, the Stoics emphasize the importance of focusing on what you can control in the present. Instead of getting lost in what-ifs, bring your attention back to the here and now. What can you do today to move closer to your goals? What small, meaningful actions can you take to create a better future? By staying present and taking purposeful steps, you can reduce anxiety and build momentum without being weighed down by worry. Letting go of the future doesn't mean ignoring it. It means approaching it with a sense of trust and preparedness. By planning without attachment, trusting in your resilience, and staying grounded in the present, you can release the grip of uncertainty and live with greater peace and purpose. Next, we'll explore how simplifying our lives through the art of minimalism aligns with Stoic values and helps us let go of excess, both physically and mentally. Now, let's shift our focus to a practice that not only clears our surroundings but also our minds, the art of minimalism. In a world filled with constant noise and clutter, both physical and mental, minimalism offers a way to align our lives with Stoic principles of simplicity and focus. By letting go of excess, we create space for what truly matters, allowing us to live with greater clarity and purpose. Stoicism teaches us to value inner virtues over external possessions. The more we accumulate, the more we risk becoming attached to things that don't contribute to our growth or happiness. Minimalism, in this sense, is not just about owning fewer items. It's about freeing ourselves from the distractions and burdens that weigh us down. When we declutter our physical spaces, we also begin to declutter our minds, making room for deeper reflection and intentional living. A practical way to start is by evaluating what you truly need. Go through your belongings and ask yourself, does this item serve a purpose? Does it bring me joy or value? If the answer is no, it might be time to let it go. This process isn't about deprivation. It's about creating a life that feels lighter and more aligned with your priorities. The same principle applies to our mental spaces. Just as we accumulate physical clutter, we often carry mental clutter in the form of unnecessary worries, distractions, or commitments. Take a moment to reflect on your daily habits and routines. Are there activities or thoughts that drain your energy without adding value? By identifying and letting go of these, you can focus on what truly nourishes your mind and spirit. One Stoic-inspired exercise is to practice intentional consumption. Before making a purchase or committing to a new obligation, pause and consider whether it aligns with your values and goals. This mindful approach helps you avoid accumulating things or responsibilities that don't serve your greater purpose. Another tip is to create daily moments of simplicity. Whether it's a few minutes of quiet reflection, a walk in nature, or a clutter-free workspace, these small acts can help you reconnect with what's essential. Over time, you'll find that living with less allows you to appreciate more time, more peace, and more freedom. Minimalism, when practiced through a Stoic lens, becomes a powerful tool for letting go of excess and embracing a life of intention. By simplifying our surroundings and our thoughts, we create the conditions for deeper fulfillment and resilience. Next, we'll explore how occasionally denying ourselves comforts, a practice known as self-denial, can strengthen our resilience and reduce attachment to external pleasures. Now, let's turn our attention to a practice that might seem counterintuitive at first, but holds profound Stoic wisdom: practicing self-denial. This technique isn't about punishing ourselves or living a life of hardship. It's about intentionally stepping away from comforts to build resilience and reduce our attachment to external pleasures. By occasionally saying no to what feels easy or indulgent, we train ourselves to find strength and contentment within, rather than relying on external sources for satisfaction. Think about it this way: when we constantly give in to every comfort or desire, we risk becoming dependent on them. Over time, this dependency can weaken our ability to handle challenges or setbacks. Self-denial, on the other hand, acts like a muscle. It strengthens our capacity to endure discomfort and adapt to life's uncertainties. A simple example of this practice is fasting. By voluntarily skipping a meal or abstaining from food for a set period, we learn to sit with hunger and discomfort without immediately seeking relief. This not only builds physical resilience but also teaches us that we can survive and even thrive without always giving in to our cravings. It's a powerful reminder that we are more capable than we often give ourselves credit for. Another example is taking cold showers. While it might sound unpleasant, exposing ourselves to cold water can be a form of mental and physical training. The initial shock forces us to stay present and calm, helping us practice self-control and discipline. Over time, this small act of self-denial can translate into greater emotional resilience as we learn to face discomfort head-on without flinching. Self-denial also helps us appreciate what we have. When we temporarily give up something we enjoy, like a favorite food, a warm shower, or even screen time, we often find that we don't miss it as much as we thought we would. This realization can shift our perspective, helping us see that many of our desires are optional rather than essential. The key to practicing self-denial effectively is to start small. You don't need to dive into extreme challenges right away. Begin with something manageable, like skipping dessert for a week or reducing your time on social media. The goal isn't to deprive yourself permanently, but to create moments where you consciously choose discomfort over ease. These small acts of self-denial can gradually build your resilience and deepen your appreciation for life's simple pleasures. By embracing self-denial, we align ourselves with the Stoic principle of focusing on what's within our control, our choices, our reactions, and our mindset. This practice helps us let go of the need for constant comfort and prepares us to face life's inevitable challenges with greater strength and equanimity. Next, we'll explore how cultivating inner freedom, regardless of external circumstances, can help us live with greater peace and purpose. Now, let's shift our focus to a profound Stoic concept that can transform how we experience life, cultivating inner freedom. This technique is about discovering a sense of liberation that isn't tied to external conditions, whether it's wealth, status, or even the approval of others. Stoicism teaches us that true freedom comes from within, from mastering our thoughts, emotions, and reactions, no matter what's happening around us. Consider the story of Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers. Born into slavery, Epictetus faced unimaginable hardships, yet he found a way to cultivate inner freedom. He famously said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Despite his external circumstances, he chose to focus on what he could control: his own mind and actions. This mindset allowed him to rise above his situation and become a teacher whose wisdom continues to inspire millions today. Another powerful example is Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. In his book Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl describes how he found inner freedom even in the horrors of a concentration camp. He realized that while the Nazis could take away his physical freedom, they couldn't control his thoughts or his ability to choose how he responded to suffering. This realization gave him a sense of purpose and resilience that sustained him through unimaginable adversity. Cultivating inner freedom doesn't mean ignoring or denying external challenges. Instead, it's about recognizing that our power lies in how we interpret and respond to those challenges. For instance, when faced with a difficult situation at work, we can choose to see it as an opportunity to grow rather than a source of frustration. By shifting our perspective, we free ourselves from the grip of external pressures and take control of our emotional well-being. One practical way to cultivate inner freedom is through daily reflection. Take a few moments each day to ask yourself, what's within my control right now? How can I respond to this situation with wisdom and integrity? This simple practice helps us detach from external outcomes and focus on our own agency. Over time, it builds a sense of inner strength and independence that no external circumstance can shake. Another approach is to practice gratitude for the things we often take for granted: our ability to think, to choose, and to act with purpose. By appreciating these internal resources, we remind ourselves that we already possess the tools we need to live freely, regardless of what's happening around us. Cultivating inner freedom is a lifelong journey, but it's one that can profoundly change how we experience the world. By focusing on what's within our control and letting go of what's not, we unlock a sense of peace and resilience that no external force can take away. Next, we'll explore how letting go of anger can help us live with greater clarity and emotional balance. Now, let's turn our attention to a powerful Stoic practice that can help us navigate one of the most challenging emotions: letting go of anger. Anger often feels justified in the moment, but Stoicism teaches us that it's usually a reaction to unmet expectations or a sense of losing control. By understanding its roots, we can learn to manage it effectively and reclaim our emotional balance. One of the most practical Stoic strategies for dealing with anger is to pause before reacting. When we feel anger rising, it's easy to act impulsively, saying or doing things we later regret. Instead, Stoics encourage us to take a step back, breathe deeply, and give ourselves time to reflect. This pause creates space between the trigger and our response, allowing us to choose a wiser, more measured reaction. For example, imagine you're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. Your initial reaction might be frustration or even rage at the situation. But by pausing and reflecting, you can remind yourself that the traffic is outside your control. What's within your control is how you respond, whether you let the anger consume you or use the time to prepare mentally for the meeting. This shift in perspective can diffuse the anger and help you approach the situation with calm and clarity. Another key Stoic insight is that anger often stems from unmet expectations. We get angry when reality doesn't align with what we think should happen. For instance, if a colleague doesn't meet a deadline, you might feel angry because you expected them to be more reliable. But Stoicism invites us to question those expectations. Are they realistic? Are they within our control? By adjusting our expectations and focusing on what we can influence, we reduce the likelihood of anger taking hold. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, offers a helpful perspective on this. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This reminder encourages us to direct our energy inward, focusing on our own thoughts and actions rather than trying to control others or external circumstances. When we do this, anger loses its grip and we regain a sense of inner peace. A practical exercise to let go of anger is to journal about the situation. Write down what triggered your anger, what expectations were unmet, and how you can reframe the situation. This process helps you gain clarity and detach from the emotional intensity, making it easier to respond with wisdom rather than react with anger. Letting go of anger doesn't mean suppressing it or pretending it doesn't exist. Instead, it's about understanding its source, choosing how to respond, and ultimately freeing ourselves from its hold. By practicing these Stoic strategies, we can transform anger into an opportunity for growth and self-mastery. Next, we'll explore how Stoicism helps us confront and release fear, another emotion that can hold us back from living fully. Now, let's shift our focus to another powerful emotion that often holds us back: fear. Fear can feel overwhelming, whether it's fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown. But Stoicism offers a clear path to confronting and releasing fear by teaching us to focus on what's within our control. At its core, fear often arises from uncertainty about the future, about outcomes, or about how others perceive us. Stoics remind us that while we can't control external events, we can control how we respond to them. This shift in focus is key to letting go of fear. By directing our attention to what we can influence, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, we reclaim our power and reduce the grip fear has on us. One practical Stoic exercise for dealing with fear is to write down your fears in detail. Take a moment to list what you're afraid of and why. Then ask yourself, is this fear based on something within my control, or is it tied to external circumstances? Often, you'll find that many fears are rooted in things you can't change, like other people's opinions or future events. By identifying this, you can begin to detach from the fear and focus on what you can do. For example, imagine you're afraid of public speaking. You might worry about forgetting your words or being judged by the audience. Writing this down helps you see that while you can't control how others react, you can control how well you prepare and how confidently you present yourself. This realization shifts your focus from the fear itself to actionable steps you can take to improve your performance. Another Stoic technique is to challenge the validity of your fears. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen, and if it did, how would I handle it? This exercise, known as Premeditation of Evils, helps you mentally prepare for potential challenges and realize that you have the resilience to face them. Often, we find that our fears are exaggerated, and this perspective can diminish their power over us. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that fear is not the problem, it's our reaction to it. By choosing to respond with courage and clarity, we can transform fear into an opportunity for growth. A final exercise to let go of fear is to practice gratitude. When we focus on what we're grateful for, we shift our attention away from what we fear. This doesn't mean ignoring our fears, but rather balancing them with a sense of appreciation for what we already have. Gratitude helps us see that even in the face of uncertainty, there's still much to be thankful for. Letting go of fear isn't about eliminating it entirely, it's about understanding its source, focusing on what we can control, and choosing to act despite it. By applying these Stoic practices, we can confront fear with confidence and live more freely. Next, we'll explore how Stoicism helps us release guilt, another emotion that can weigh heavily on our minds. Now, let's turn our attention to another emotion that can linger and weigh us down: guilt. Unlike fear, which often looks forward to what might go wrong, guilt keeps us anchored in the past, replaying mistakes and wishing we could change them. Stoicism offers a compassionate yet practical approach to dealing with guilt, teaching us how to learn from our errors without letting them define us. Guilt, at its core, is a signal that we've acted against our values. While it can be a useful reminder to do better, dwelling on it excessively only drains our energy and prevents growth. The Stoics believed that the past is outside our control. What's done is done. What matters is how we respond in the present. By focusing on what we can do now, rather than what we wish we had done differently, we can transform guilt into a tool for self-improvement. One powerful Stoic exercise for letting go of guilt is to reflect on the lesson behind the mistake. Ask yourself, what did this experience teach me? How can I use this knowledge to act more wisely in the future? This shifts your focus from self-blame to self-awareness, helping you see guilt as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. For example, imagine you said something hurtful to a friend in a moment of frustration. Instead of endlessly replaying the conversation and beating yourself up, take a moment to reflect. What triggered your reaction? How can you communicate more thoughtfully next time? By focusing on these questions, you turn guilt into an opportunity for personal growth. Another Stoic practice is to practice self-forgiveness. This doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior, but rather acknowledging that you're human and capable of making mistakes. Epictetus reminds us, no one is perfect, but everyone is capable of improvement. By forgiving yourself, you free up mental space to focus on becoming the person you aspire to be. A practical step for self-forgiveness is to write a letter to yourself. In it, acknowledge the mistake, express understanding for why it happened, and outline how you'll move forward. This exercise helps you process the guilt in a constructive way rather than letting it fester. Finally, Stoicism teaches us to act with wisdom moving forward. Once you've learned from the mistake, let it go. Dwelling on it only keeps you stuck in the past. Instead, focus on the present moment and the actions you can take to align with your values. This might mean apologizing to someone you've wronged, making amends, or simply committing to do better next time. Letting go of guilt isn't about ignoring your mistakes, it's about learning from them and using that knowledge to grow. By applying these Stoic practices, you can release the weight of guilt and move forward with clarity and purpose. Next, we'll explore how Stoicism helps us let go of comparison, another common source of dissatisfaction in our lives. Now, let's shift our focus to a habit that often sneaks into our lives without us even realizing it: comparison. Whether it's scrolling through social media or measuring our success against someone else's, comparing ourselves to others can leave us feeling inadequate, frustrated, and stuck in a cycle of dissatisfaction. Stoicism offers a refreshing perspective on this, reminding us that true fulfillment comes from within, not from how we stack up against others. The Stoics believed that comparing ourselves to others is not only unproductive but also unnecessary. Why? Because everyone's journey is unique. What matters most is not where we stand relative to others, but how we're growing and aligning with our own values. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." In other words, our focus should be on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and progress. One powerful Stoic practice for letting go of comparison is to shift your attention inward. Instead of asking, "How do I measure up to others?" ask, "Am I living in alignment with my values? Am I making progress toward my goals?" This simple reframe helps you focus on your own path rather than getting distracted by someone else's. For example, imagine you're working on a creative project and you see a peer achieving recognition for their work. It's easy to feel discouraged or even envious, but instead of dwelling on their success, ask yourself, what can I learn from their journey? How can I use this as inspiration to improve my own craft? By focusing on your growth rather than their achievements, you turn comparison into motivation. Another Stoic technique is to cultivate gratitude for what you already have. When we compare ourselves to others, we often fixate on what we lack, but gratitude shifts our perspective, helping us appreciate our own strengths and accomplishments. Take a moment each day to reflect on what you're grateful for, whether it's a skill you've developed, a relationship you cherish, or even the opportunity to learn and grow. This practice helps you see your life as abundant rather than lacking. Stoicism also teaches us to value inner virtues over external achievements. Fame, wealth, and status are fleeting, but qualities like integrity, resilience, and kindness endure. When you focus on cultivating these virtues, you'll find that external comparisons lose their grip on you. As Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Finally, remember that everyone is fighting their own battles. What we see of others' lives is often just the highlight reel, not the full story. By practicing empathy and recognizing that everyone has struggles, we can let go of the need to compare and instead focus on supporting one another. Letting go of comparison isn't about ignoring others or dismissing their achievements. It's about redirecting your energy toward your own growth and well-being. By applying these Stoic practices, you can free yourself from the trap of comparison and find greater satisfaction in your unique journey. Next, we'll explore how Stoicism helps us let go of perfectionism, another obstacle that often holds us back from living fully. Now, let's turn our attention to a mindset that often holds us back more than we realize: perfectionism. While striving for excellence can be motivating, the relentless pursuit of perfection can become a trap, leaving us paralyzed by fear of failure or disappointment. Stoicism offers a liberating perspective on this, reminding us that imperfection is not only natural but also essential for growth. The Stoics believed that life is inherently unpredictable and imperfect. Trying to control every outcome or achieve flawless results is not only impossible but also counterproductive. As Seneca wisely noted, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Perfectionism often stems from our fear of judgment or failure, but Stoicism teaches us to focus on what truly matters: our effort, intentions, and progress. One of the key Stoic practices for letting go of perfectionism is to shift your focus from outcomes to actions. Instead of obsessing over whether something will be perfect, ask yourself, am I doing my best with the resources and knowledge I have? Am I acting with integrity and purpose? This mindset helps you detach from the need for flawless results and instead value the process of learning and growing. For example, imagine you're working on a project at work or school. You've spent hours refining every detail, but you're still not satisfied. Instead of pushing yourself to the point of burnout, take a step back and remind yourself that done is better than perfect. By completing the task and learning from the experience, you're making progress even if the result isn't flawless. Another Stoic technique is to embrace mistakes as opportunities for growth. Perfectionism often makes us fear failure, but the Stoics saw failure as a natural part of life and a valuable teacher. When you make a mistake, instead of beating yourself up, ask, what can I learn from this? How can I improve next time? This approach transforms setbacks into stepping stones, helping you grow stronger and more resilient. Stoicism also encourages us to accept our limitations. No one is perfect, and that's okay. By acknowledging our imperfections, we free ourselves from the pressure to meet unrealistic standards. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, our challenges and flaws are not obstacles but opportunities to practice patience, humility, and perseverance. Finally, remember that perfectionism often stems from comparing ourselves to others or to an idealized version of ourselves. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our own journey and progress rather than external benchmarks. By letting go of the need to be perfect, we open ourselves to greater creativity, joy, and fulfillment. Letting go of perfectionism doesn't mean lowering your standards. It means embracing the beauty of imperfection and valuing effort over outcomes. By applying these Stoic practices, you can free yourself from the weight of perfectionism and live a more authentic, purposeful life. Next, we'll explore the transformative power of silence and how it can help us let go of distractions and connect with our inner selves. Now, let's shift our focus to a practice that might seem simple but holds profound power: the art of silence. In a world filled with constant noise, whether it's the chatter of social media, the demands of work, or the endless stream of notifications, silence offers a rare and invaluable opportunity to pause, reflect, and reconnect with ourselves. Stoicism teaches us that silence is not just the absence of sound, but a deliberate practice that can help us let go of distractions and cultivate inner clarity. The Stoics understood the importance of solitude and stillness. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, often retreated into moments of quiet reflection to center himself and gain perspective. He wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This idea reminds us that silence is not about escaping the world, but about creating space to listen to our own thoughts and align with our values. One way to incorporate silence into your daily life is by setting aside a few minutes each day for stillness. This could be as simple as sitting quietly in the morning before the day begins or taking a short walk without any distractions. During this time, resist the urge to fill the silence with music, podcasts, or even your own thoughts. Instead, let your mind settle and observe what arises. You might notice feelings, ideas, or insights that were drowned out by the noise of everyday life. Another powerful practice is to use silence as a tool for self-discipline. For example, when faced with a challenging situation or a heated conversation, try pausing before responding. This moment of silence allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. As Epictetus advised, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Silence gives you the space to align your actions with your principles. Silence also helps us let go of the need for constant validation or approval. In a world where we're often encouraged to share every thought and experience, choosing silence can be a radical act of self-respect. It allows us to step back from the noise of external opinions and reconnect with our own inner voice. This doesn't mean isolating yourself or avoiding meaningful conversations. It means creating moments of stillness to recharge and reflect. To deepen your practice of silence, consider incorporating mindfulness or meditation techniques. These practices encourage you to focus on your breath or a simple mantra, helping you stay present and grounded. Over time, you'll find that silence becomes a source of strength and clarity, enabling you to navigate life's challenges with greater calm and confidence. By embracing silence, we create space to let go of distractions, reconnect with our inner selves, and live more intentionally. It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound insights come not from speaking or doing, but from simply being still. Next, we'll explore how silence can enhance our relationships and help us let go of unnecessary arguments, creating deeper connections with those around us. Now, let's take a closer look at how we can deepen our practice of silence and unlock its full potential. Silence isn't just about turning off external noise, it's about creating an inner sanctuary where we can find focus, clarity, and emotional balance. When we intentionally cultivate silence, we give ourselves the gift of mental space, allowing us to process our thoughts and emotions more effectively. One of the most immediate benefits of silence is improved focus. In a world where multitasking is often praised, silence helps us slow down and concentrate on one thing at a time. This single-pointed focus can enhance productivity, creativity, and even problem-solving. For example, try setting aside 10 minutes each day to sit in complete silence, free from distractions. During this time, focus on your breath or a simple mantra. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back to your point of focus. Over time, you'll notice your ability to concentrate improving, not just during these moments of silence, but throughout your day. Silence also fosters emotional clarity. When we're constantly bombarded with information and stimuli, it's easy to lose touch with how we truly feel. Silence creates a space where we can tune into our emotions without judgment or distraction. A helpful exercise is to sit quietly and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Don't rush to label or analyze the emotion, just observe it. This practice can help you become more aware of your emotional patterns and respond to them with greater wisdom and compassion. Another powerful way to deepen your practice of silence is through guided reflection. After a few minutes of stillness, ask yourself reflective questions like, what am I holding onto that no longer serves me? Or what values do I want to prioritize today? These questions can help you gain insight into your thoughts and behaviors, making it easier to let go of what's unnecessary and align with what truly matters. For those who prefer a more structured approach, silent meditation can be incredibly beneficial. Start by finding a comfortable position and closing your eyes. Focus on your breath, noticing the sensation of air entering and leaving your body. If thoughts arise, acknowledge them without judgment and gently return your attention to your breath. Even just 5 minutes of this practice can help you feel more centered and grounded. Finally, consider incorporating silence into your daily routines. For instance, try eating a meal in silence, savoring each bite without distractions. Or take a walk in nature, leaving your phone behind and simply observing the sights and sounds around you. These small acts of intentional silence can have a profound impact on your overall well-being. By deepening your practice of silence, you'll find that it becomes a powerful tool for self-discovery and growth. It's not just about quieting the external world, it's about creating a space where you can hear your own inner voice more clearly. This clarity can help you let go of distractions, make better decisions, and live with greater intention. Next, we'll explore how silence can transform our relationships, helping us let go of unnecessary arguments and fostering deeper connections with those around us. Now, let's turn our attention to how silence can transform our relationships. Silence isn't just a tool for personal reflection. It's also a powerful way to improve communication and foster deeper connections with others. In relationships, silence can act as a bridge, helping us let go of unnecessary arguments and creating space for understanding and empathy. One of the most common challenges in relationships is the urge to respond immediately, especially during disagreements. When emotions run high, words can escalate tensions rather than resolve them. This is where silence becomes invaluable. By pausing before speaking, we give ourselves time to process what's being said and respond thoughtfully instead of reactively. For example, if a partner shares something that upsets you, try taking a moment of silence to breathe and collect your thoughts. This simple pause can prevent misunderstandings and help you respond with clarity and compassion. Silence also enhances our ability to listen deeply. Often, we listen with the intent to reply rather than to truly understand. When we embrace silence, we create space to hear not just the words being spoken, but the emotions and intentions behind them. A practical way to practice this is to engage in active listening during conversations. Instead of planning your response while the other person is speaking, focus entirely on their words. When they finish, take a few seconds of silence to absorb what they've shared before responding. This approach not only improves communication, but also shows the other person that you value their perspective. Another way silence can strengthen relationships is by diffusing tension. In moments of conflict, silence can act as a cooling-off period, allowing both parties to step back and regain composure. For instance, if a discussion becomes heated, suggest taking a short break in silence. Use this time to reflect on the core issue rather than dwelling on the emotions of the moment. When you return to the conversation, you'll likely find it easier to approach the topic with a calmer, more constructive mindset. Silence can also be a form of support. Sometimes, the most meaningful way to be there for someone is to simply sit with them in silence. Whether they're processing a difficult emotion or celebrating a joyful moment, your quiet presence can convey empathy and solidarity in a way words often cannot. This kind of silent companionship can deepen trust and strengthen emotional bonds. Finally, consider how silence can help you let go of the need to always have the last word. In many arguments, the desire to win can overshadow the goal of resolving the issue. By choosing silence over confrontation, you create an opportunity for mutual understanding and compromise. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means prioritizing the relationship over the need to be right. By incorporating silence into your relationships, you'll find that it becomes a powerful tool for fostering connection and understanding. It's not about avoiding communication, but about enhancing it, creating space for deeper listening, thoughtful responses, and emotional clarity. Next, we'll wrap up our exploration of Stoic techniques for letting go, summarizing how these practices can transform your life and help you live with greater freedom and intention. As we bring our exploration of Stoic techniques for letting go to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on the transformative power of these practices. From understanding the dichotomy of control to embracing silence and everything in between, these 25 techniques offer a roadmap to emotional freedom and inner peace. Each one, whether it's practicing gratitude, detaching from outcomes, or reflecting on impermanence, serves as a tool to help us navigate life's challenges with resilience and clarity. What's remarkable about these techniques is how they work together. Individually, they provide valuable insights, but collectively, they create a framework for living with intention and purpose. By letting go of what we cannot control, embracing what life brings, and focusing on what truly matters, we can cultivate a sense of calm and contentment that transcends external circumstances. If you're new to Stoicism, don't feel overwhelmed by the number of techniques. Start small. Choose one practice that resonates with you, whether it's journaling for reflection, practicing gratitude, or embracing the view from above, and commit to it for a week or two. Notice how it impacts your mindset and relationships. As you grow more comfortable, gradually incorporate additional techniques into your daily life. Remember, progress is more important than perfection. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions or denying reality. It's about developing the wisdom to respond to life's ups and downs with grace and strength. By applying these techniques, you'll find yourself letting go of what no longer serves you, making space for growth, and living with greater freedom and authenticity. If you found value in this video, I'd love to hear about your experiences. Which technique resonated with you the most? How has it helped you let go of something that was holding you back? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might inspire someone else on their journey. And if you're eager to dive deeper into Stoic wisdom, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Together, let's continue exploring how ancient philosophy can help us live better, more meaningful lives. Thank you for watching, and remember, the power to let go and live freely is always within your reach.